If you're new to sports betting and you want to get into it for this upcoming NFL season, but you don't really know what to pay attention to, you don't know where to start or what things could contribute to helping you decide which team to pick in a specific matchup, I'm going to be breaking down 3 stats that help me make my decisions when I'm betting on games during the NFL season. Before I get into it, make sure you hit the like button on this video, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the great content we're going to be doing this upcoming NFL and college football season. And also go on over to thesportsgeek.com and sign up for the Beat the Geek contest. The grand prize is a trip for 2 to an NFL game. Go and sign up, see if you can end up winning and having the most correct picks every single week over at thesportsgeek.com. All right. I'm going to start talking about 3 key stats that I look at closely when I am betting on games. The 3 things that we're going to discuss today are EPA per play, DVOA, and pressure rate. Starting things off with EPA per play. The definition for EPA per play is the net point value gained or lost on a play relative to down, distance, and field position. It reveals true play-by-play efficiency rather than empty yardage totals. The reason why I love looking at this over however many yards a team might have racked up in a particular category is that a lot of times those yardage totals do not tell an accurate story. They tend to lie to us. An easy example here. A team might be ranked in the top 10 in rushing yards in the NFL. They might be considered statistically as one of the best rushing offenses in the league. But that number could be inflated because they run the ball more than most teams. They could have a poor yard per carry average. They could have a lot of negative rushing plays that derail their offensive progress. Often, if they're not efficient at running the ball, it's kind of meaningless to be top 10. Again, it's hiding the fact that there are a lot of missing details and factors in the story of determining if they're actually good at running the ball. So when we use EPA per play, it allows us to determine the efficiency at which a team can do a particular thing. So I'm not just looking at EPA per play overall. I'll look at EPA per pass. I'll look at EPA per rush. I'll also look at the defensive statistics in terms of what they're allowing on EPA per rush, what they're allowing on EPA per dropback. Those things help paint the picture of where is there a potential major separation between these two squads. So when I look at 2 teams, maybe they're evenly matched in most EPA categories, but if I have in said matchup a circumstance where Team A has a top 5 EPA per rush on offense and Team B is bottom 10 in EPA per rush allowed, that discrepancy could be enough of a deciding factor in who wins the game. It might not ultimately be the reason why the game is decided. Anything can happen in a football game. The margins are very thin. But because those margins are thin, if the team that has a stronger EPA per rush ends up running the ball better in the game, it could end up contributing to them coming out as the victors and winning the game at the end of the day. The next stat that I pay attention to is DVOA. DVOA is the per play efficiency compared to league average adjusted for opponent strength. It separates legitimately elite teams from fraud contenders with soft schedules. So this is similar to what we just discussed with EPA per play, and it's utilized in many of the same ways that I might use it for comparing 2 different teams. But the best part about DVOA is it contextualizes performance even more than EPA per play does. It helps us understand how are they performing against the best teams in the league. Is there a team that's playing a really easy schedule that is getting a lot of opportunities to inflate their stats and look a lot better than they are? If you don't have a film breakdown of 2 teams and an understanding of a separation on what that talent looks like for specific position groups, DVOA allows us to understand how does said team perform when they play the best team. So when I'm picking a game between 2 of the best teams in the NFL, I'll know if one team is a lot better performing at a higher level against top squads while the other might do poorly. And lastly, I think that this is one of the most important stats to keep track of, which is pressure rate. Pressure rate is a great way of determining who might have an edge along both lines of scrimmage. Pressure rate is the percentage of pass dropbacks where the defense hits, hurries, or sacks the quarterback. It evaluates line play independent of coverage and pinpoints quarterback collapse points. Pressure rate is just essentially telling us on both sides whether a defense, how often they are disrupting a quarterback, or if an offensive line is giving up a lot of pressures to opposing defenses. Football is won and lost along both lines. If you have an elite defensive line, you have an elite offensive line, you are going to be able to carry yourself further if maybe you have weaker talent at running back, at receiver, at quarterback. A lot of times we see this in the league. Teams that do a great job of building up their O-lines might end up winning matchups that they're not supposed to because they have that physical identity. But most importantly, even though there has been an increased trend of running the ball more often in the NFL, the teams naturally that are able to throw the ball and produce big plays through the air are teams that win. And the teams that are able to make those big plays in the passing game are the ones that can protect their quarterback the best. Inversely, a lot of the top teams in the NFL have really good pass rushes. They have really good defensive lines. Look at the Denver Broncos, who made it to the AFC Championship game. Look at the Houston Texans, who last season had an awful offensive line, which held them back. Furthers my point here. But Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson were so good that they kept them in games, low-scoring games, way longer than they should have. I think also a lot of times on defense too, if you're a team with a good pressure rate, it can make up for a below-average linebacking core and maybe a mediocre secondary. If you are shutting down the time that a quarterback has to operate, you potentially have an edge in that game. Now, if the margins are thin, you're not going to pick a circumstance where a team might rank 12th in pressure rate on one side and the other side, the offensive line is 13th in pressure rate allowed. You'd be looking for a much bigger gap than that. So if I'm making a pick for a game based on whatever the spread is, if there is enough separation, it could be an indicator that one team is in for a hell of an afternoon while the other is going to cruise to victory. Comment below what stats that you pay attention to when you're betting on NFL games. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.